Sagittarius, hello. I'm congested right now and it's cold, so I have the space heater here. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'll try to enunciate. And yeah, we're gonna take a look at what's going on in your divine union, your twin flame journey. When I chose the incense for your reading, it was the Tibetan lotus, and it's the green. It's a variety pack, and so it gives descriptions of which one is which, and yours was the green with natural bamboo. And because we this week have had a couple freeze warnings, I brought the plants in from the sunroom, so I'm surrounded by the plants from the sunroom, and I have my green fabric. I've had this material for years and years, and didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I just loved it so much. I got it in the like little nook thrift store, and I just loved it so much, and I knew I would do something with it. I used half of it to make a like a side bag with, and then I just have this other piece here. And I was like, why don't I read on that? I've been reading on a towel because it's a door and it's really loud whenever you tap the cards on it. So anyway, that's the environment that I've been making adjustments to, and whether they are willing or unwilling, right? Like, I didn't bring the plants in because I wanted them to be in here with me, or I didn't realize it would make such a cozy little environment to read with. But I'm a Taurus and I love plants and I love green, and but it was almost like there could be like a tower moment or some sort of test that's coming up that's going to challenge you in a way to kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit, to do something that maybe you didn't want to do or you didn't think that you wanted to do, but once you do it, it actually creates the environment that you've been longing for. It's been, you know, and you might be literally repurposing things, or you could be starting to garden or tending to your proverbial garden, you know, but there's something about green and getting back to nature, right? Your natural state. Maybe you're going to be consuming more greens, right? Like doing juices, or you know, just getting a lot more plants. Maybe you're going plant-based. Hey, this is the right place for it. But definitely during this time of the year, it's important to make sure that we are nourishing our bodies and that we're getting the green, that we are getting outside, that we are still getting the natural minerals under our fingernails, so to speak. And truly, it is healing to get our hands in soil. There's something about the smell of soil. So I feel like you're getting into a very earthy, natural place, something that you've wanted to do for a long time, something organic to you. But I think that there's going to be something, a tower moment, some sort of Two of Swords, unexpected, unforeseen turn of events that's going to kind of push you into that, right? It's like the friendly nudge off the cliff for the Fool. Usually the Fool just kind of does it on their own, but the Fool in the Rider-Waite deck has a dog there. So, you know, getting out can be difficult. Maybe you have a dog, or you have to keep some sort of pet, and that's going to be sort of your motivation to get out of bed in the morning, right? To get yourself out into the cold because you've got to walk your dog, right? So it's kind of like that friendly nudge that's you know, dogs could be dealing with a Cancer. You could have a Cancerian placement, but dogs also represent Cancer for their loyalty. There's something about it. It may be an actual friend, it could be the universe, it could be a number of things, but it's whatever it is, or whomever it is looking out for your best interest, or is loyal and wants the best for you. I made some pumpkin tea. And let's see what the Yogi Fortune says. It is the light in the lantern which shows you the path, not the lantern. Okay. So, the inner light. I just got this mug and it's already got like a crackle in it. Stuff. The light in the lantern. That's the hermit mode. I mean, you could be dealing with a Virgo. You could be in hermit mode. And it is the light within. We have the magician here, which is Virgo and Gemini. That is the divine alchemist. And we have judgment. Oh, something tried to pop out there. So this is the kind of unseen. This is also the feminine aspect of the divine union. Now that's energetic. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is the feminine, but this is the feminine energy of the union that's influencing the union or contributing to it in some way. So we have the magician, and we've got this 9 of wands. I almost said swords, but it is kind of like, and see how they have their torch there. It's kind of like burning the midnight oil. What am I stuff, you know? The midnight oil. I mean, maybe you're going to be doing something with oils, essential oils. Maybe you're going to be like, you know, doing some self-care regimen that includes natural oils. But I feel like this is staying up at night. You know, this is someone who's waiting, someone who's staying up at night. You know, this individual, look at them, they're like waiting outside the party. This also gives me the vision of like, you know, when kids aren't picked up after school by their parents. So there's some sort of like abandonment or neglect or something that maybe comes from childhood that you're starting to feel in this connection. Like, where's my person? Like, you're all dressed up and no place to go. Oh, that makes me think of, you know, like when the kids are all packed and ready, and their dad's supposed to come pick them up and then doesn't show. And, you know, they've got their costume on, they've got their best stuff, like they had big plans, they were supposed to go do a bunch of stuff, and someone isn't showing up. But I think that whomever isn't showing up, or whatever isn't showing up, whatever isn't working out as you thought it would, is actually divine protection. You know, maybe if you got in the car with your dad, you know, figuratively speaking, this could actually be very specifically your story. Maybe you experienced that as a child. Or maybe you're dealing with, maybe you're co-parenting and you're watching your children go through this. Maybe you're, you know, so that could actually be your story. But it's like, whatever isn't working out for you is going to be better. Because maybe if you got into the car, the dad in this metaphor or literal story was drunk and would have crashed, and you would have gotten into an accident, right? So it's like, that's how the Tower is. That's how like unanswered prayers are. You may be kind of like sitting and waiting at night. Where's my person? And you could be focused on something very specific, but because it doesn't work out, it's opening the door for what's really meant for you. There's judgment here. So there is a judgment day, which means somebody, you could be dealing with like a toxic person, someone who's been maybe throwing some kind of, you know, kind of black magic at you, like trying to, and that can be, you know, sitting around a cauldron, or that can just be somebody sitting in their room going, oh, I really can't stand Sagittarius. I wish that this would happen to them, or they don't deserve what they're getting, you know. It could just be jealousy. It could just be, you know, words or spells, thoughts or spells. So they could just be casting spells unwittingly, because you're divinely protected. So whoever's doing this is just like, they're not they're not going to phase you in the long run. They're, light always wins, right? So you're just staying true to your light, and you'll be fine, because I feel like this is Judgment Day for them. And so anybody who's putting anything on you, any haters, any shade, any like creepy exes, or anybody who's, or toxic family members, low vibrational friends, this could be your own fears, right? This could be your own sort of shadows that are trying to control the situation, right? That want things to go this way when they're supposed to go that way. Judgment Day is like, everyone's going to get what's coming to them, right? And that's like justice is involved in that, right? Because the judge rules on the justice system, hopefully. Karmic justice works out better than, the justice system in the 3D. But this is like divine justice, karmic justice. It's the day is coming where anybody, and maybe you were actually sending sort of negative thoughts to people. When you're around people who are toxic, who are vampiric, who are just really in their low vibration, that shifts your energy, that pulls your energy, that's something you don't want to be around. So even though you kind of maybe feel very alone, it's for the best that you are not around these people. It's for the best that you're not associating with that, because that will rub off on you, that will shift your energy. And the magician is a mercurial, it's speaking their truth. It's a very solitary individual, right? And there's all these can be your ancestors. In here I am getting that there are like lurky people who don't want you to succeed. And they're just shadows. They're just shapes. They could be like shapeshifters, right? That's how demons work. They shift in and out of different vessels. And so like if you're dating, or if you're single for a while, but from the time when you were dating, you dated just the same, it was like the same damn person over and over, which was inevitably your parents. It was like, whether you like it or not, that's what we are drawn to as our source of love, because that's what we know. So we go with what we know, and these individuals, they can't phase you, right? Usually I see that as being like your ancestors, because they look alien-esque, if that's a word. And so it's kind of like your support group, right? So I'm going to flip that, because that's what I normally see. And because I am getting this sort of like, I want to say infiltration, but I was going to say inferior, because it is inferior. Like narcissists and vampires, they don't have their own blood supply. They have to leech off of others. So they're pitiful. They're really pitiful, vacuous entities. So yeah, I'm not going to give more energy to that, okay? So if you were giving energy to that, this is your sign to not. And just flip it and know that for every hater you have out there, for every shadow that you have out there, you have an angel, all right? For every demon, there is an angel. And the light always wins. And the light is within you, according to Yogi T. Oh, it's cold. I do not like the cold. I've been saying this in every reading like a whiny little brat, but I am not a fan. But it is your season. It's temperance. It's strengthening. It's forging the tools. It's sharpening the blades. You sharpen the blade by grinding it down. And you forge the sword by applying heat to it. Temperance is about tempering your ego, tempering your desires, tempering those lower vibrations, so that you can be more resilient to them, and a lot of times that looks like, and for Sagittarius as well, because Sagittarius is a very go, go, go sign. You know, sometimes the toughest temperance and the toughest challenge or applied pressure, applied stress for particularly children of chaos is peace, right? So sometimes just being, just waiting, just resting, just you know, honoring the inner child that needs to grieve. You know, judgment can also be like, you know, judgment day. Maybe there was a death in the family. Maybe you lost a parent. And so maybe the hopeful inner child that you have was, you know, holding out for an opportunity to heal that connection. And now you're like, well, they're gone. We're never going to be able to heal it. But often it's when people are gone that we remember them the most fondly. When we're away from the toxicity, when we're not constantly inundated by, you know, narcissistic gaslighting or manipulation, you know, because that makes us bitter. That rubs off on us. That makes, if they're wishing bad upon us and we're around them, we just, it's in our nature to mirror that as empaths. And so we start to resent them. We start to get bitter. We start to mirror back that stuff and behave out of accordance with our truth. And so that could be the tower for some of you, is that you're losing a parent or somebody that maybe you didn't think that you had the strength to get away from, or you didn't have the heart. I feel like there was sort of like a pity and a sadness and a hopefulness. It was very, I don't think that it was malicious that you were staying around them. I feel like it was innocent, and you wanted to, if it was a marriage, maybe you were sticking it out for the kids. Maybe you were sticking it out because you were in love with potential, which is inevitably the reason that all hopeful, you know, empaths stay in situations that are not good for them. But if you stay with a narcissist long enough, you start to become the thing that you are surrounded by, you know? And so I feel like you can actually heal that connection better when you're apart from them. Whether that just be you moving, you speaking your truth with your mercurial throat chakra, saying, I'm just done. Yeah, I'm done with this. This is not working, whatever. However you say it, this is like finally speaking your truth and saying all the things you never said. And if you're like, well, I never got to say them because they died, you can still say them. You can write them down. You can speak them out, right? Words, thoughts are spells. So you can still have a spell funeral for them, right? You can have a ceremony and say all the things that you wanted to say. Write them down and then read them out. You can write an apology letter from them to you, because let's be real, you were never going to get the apology because narcissists aren't sorry. You know, vampires aren't sorry. They're in survival mode from their own tragedies, their own issues. They don't even have the capacity to consider what it's doing to other people because they're in survival mode from their childhood, from what happened before in their life. And so it's not personal, it's not about you even, which is the hardest thing to realize when you're dealing with a narcissist, when you're dealing with someone who's toxic, especially if it's family, especially if it's your parents. It's like, these are the two individuals who created me, so they must love me, right? It's like, they should, and that's their purpose. But I feel like that has been, maybe them being alive has been blocking this union, because you've still been working, you've still been giving energy to them, whether you're apart or not, whether you're together or apart. You've still been giving your energy, your hope to the potential of a connection that will never be. It is only potential. And so, and I think that framework with this parent or this past person has been the framework for every relationship that you've had since. And you've just been giving that hopeful energy to people who didn't deserve it, they didn't earn it, and they don't really want it. They just don't want you to have the hope. They don't want you to have the faith and the light. They just want to dim your light so that you don't show them up. It's a competition. It's conditional love. It's not, it's like you don't even know what it's like to be around people who want you to shine that light. But they're coming. Okay, because the Ten of Wands is an ending. Maybe you're from the South, but it's an ending to. This is the Nine of Wands, so we're gonna round it up because that's how you problem solve in simple math. You round it up. If it's 5 or above, 5 is lack. If it's 5 or above, and then usually anything above that is clutter. When you're talking about wands or swords. Masculine energy, 3D energy, it's the ego. When you're talking about like 5, you want the 9 of Cups. You want the 9 of Pentacles. That's like growth and expansion. That's wish fulfillment. But the 9 of Wands and Swords it's clutter. It's too many mind. It's too much. It's just too much clutter and chaos because it's of the ego. And so the feminine is of the 5D and the masculine is of the 3D. And so fire and swords are masculine and water and earth, cups and pentacles are feminine. So hopefully that makes sense. So we round it up. And so if you go to a 10 of Wands, that is releasing burden. That's dropping the burden that you've been carrying. You've been carrying some kind of burden, some kind of hope, some kind of faith in others, but it's like you need to only have the faith in yourself. Right? You need to have the faith in yourself because you can heal the connection best by healing yourself because you are made up of your mother and your father. So when you reparent yourself, when you become the father for yourself, right? Because that's the divine holy trinity is the divine masculine, divine feminine, divine creation. We all have masculine, feminine, and an inner child, right? The inner child is like the emotional, spiritual body. It's the one that the parents are supposed to protect and nurture. They're supposed to lead and comfort, right? Like parents should do, unconditionally. So when you start to unconditionally love yourself, protect yourself, and that protection most of the time on this path is from the ones who are hurting that inner child, which are usually those closest to us. It's usually the childhood friends, it's and they don't necessarily do it out of intention, but lack of intention is an intention as well, right? So there's something self-serving, something sort of just ignorant about them, but after a certain point, all ignorance is intentional ignorance, right? Because we have the resources. Everyone has the resources at a certain point to stop being the victim of their circumstance. Like once you hit a certain age, you're not a victim. When you're a child, you are a victim of your circumstance. There's a point where you become a young adult that you are no longer, you have the free will, you have the means, you have the legal capability to excommunicate yourself and speak your truth and what is that song? Is that I can't even think of it, but it's a country song where maybe you're from the country, like Sweet Home Alabama, but maybe you moved away from all of that bullshit. and you gotta like come back for a funeral or something, and so you're gonna sort of be usually in those movies, like Hallmark movies, they go back home from the big city and then they realize, oh, I was actually wanting to be here. I feel like it's opposite for you. If you do go back home, very specific, but if you do go back home for a funeral or some sort of event that needs to be sorted, or maybe it is like a divorce and you're going to go back home to live with family, I feel like it's going to just be, it's going to help close up those ties of potential. I think that you're going to have a realization that that this isn't changing, and this isn't healthy. But it makes me think of that country song where the dad's fighting, he like fights the sons. I think there's 2 sons or something, and they like something about the screen door, and they go outside and they fight. I don't know what that is. I'll look it up, and that'll probably be the title for this video. I'm gonna write that down. But it's a country song. Is it? I don't think it's Tim McGraw. Anyway, maybe your name's Tim. Anyway. But it is sort of like that respect, like where the dad can still whoop their ass or something, even though he's older. But I feel like once you're at a certain age, like you can actually win that fight. But I don't think that it's going to be literal, that you're going to be fighting your parents. But anyway, let's get back to the cards. But I feel like there is a major parental rift that has been stopping you from accepting healthy love. Maybe you did, maybe there was physical abuse growing up, or maybe you just had like a very like domineering parent, and so you've never really spoken your truth. You were always afraid to, and so in romantic connections, it's like you didn't express yourself. You weren't really honest with yourself or the other person, and you were always with somebody who needed to fight. It was always like you were attracted to the chaos, which is very common for children of chaos, because we go with what we know until we learn that that actually isn't what we want. It's not what we truly know inside. You know, that inner child, that inner light knows better. We just have to do the shadow work, reparent ourselves, do the healing, and really excavate down to the nitty-gritty to find out what our truth is, because we've been so surrounded by and polluted by, because it is like a toxic cesspool. It's like everyone's been pissing in your pool, and so now you're covered in piss, so you got to take a couple showers. I don't know, I've never used that before, but that's just what I'm getting. Okay, I guess we're just gonna throw the whole deck on this pile here. All right, I get it. We got the Queen of Cups, Queen of Pentacles. As I was just talking about the 9s, right? So we have this 9 of Pentacles here to clarify the Magician, right? So this is independent. This is pre-Empress energy. This is, again, that gardening, getting out in nature, getting into your earth. Maybe you have an earth placement. Or a fixed sign placement that is at play here. What is that? There's like a cold breeze coming through. I mean, it is cold. And I have a little old house, so like it's not very secure, but it just kind of all of a sudden came through, and I'm right in front of the heater. But that was just weird. There's like a cold front, some kind of cold breeze coming through. Which is ironic because this is a very warming card. Like this person's out in the sun. And yet maybe you're reluctant to go outside or to get into gardening or to get into nature because of the weather. Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. Right? And it's like, that's your inner light. And we have the Ace of Wands to clarify this, 9 of Wands, right? So it's like, you're taking this, you don't need all these other wands. They're not even a light. They're just sticks. This, you have the, it's like you're not even looking at it. You have the fire right here. You've got the fire. You got the power, but it's like the fire is your power. You know, and you're a mutable sign, and so you could have been like in between your water and your swords, because that's mutable modality is water and swords, elementally speaking. Cardinal is fire and fixed is earth. Right? And so it's like mutable signs can have that sort of like back and forth, trouble discerning when to stay, when to go, when to activate into their masculine headspace, right? And to get logical and practical in it. When they're in that, the mutable signs are very logical and practical and analytical. But in the water, right, in the cups, you know, they can get into a place where they're very timid and in their emotions, right? So they can be, that's about like how we react to things emotionally. And so, but that's also nurturing, right? So masculine is active and feminine is not necessarily inactive, but it is more like content or stationary, and it does the work in that hermit mode. It does the work, the nurturing work on the self. It's more of the introvert, where the masculine is more of the extrovert, right? So, yeah, maybe it's the Ace of Wands is like you taking, damn, I like it. We have pre-Empress energy, and then Judgment, we have Empress. Whatever this moment is, whatever this turn of events is on this Judgment Day, could be your birthday, right? Because Judgment is usually like incarnation or death and rebirth, right? It's 10, 22. 2 is like it's the mirroring or a choice. There's a choice involved. So there's some sort of, once you make that decision, and I was getting that 2 of Swords, right? That's that unforeseen fork in the road. And maybe you're moving, maybe it's, you know, I do feel like you are going to be moving, like you are going to be changing your environment somehow, right? And whether that's because of a divorce, whether that's because the loss of a family member, whether that's maybe you, I don't know the age groups here, but this is general. So maybe you are just now of age to leave home, right? So you could just be making that decision to move, maybe to travel, and that would really nurture your Sagittarian energy anyway, to go and explore, right? You guys are very fun and flinty, you know? You're very exciting, and I feel like you've been in this place of not very exciting energy because of some sort of tether to your past. 34 on the clock there. So something with 34, 7, maybe your life path 7. But this Ace of Wands is like, see, it's like coming out of nowhere, out of the clouds. It's sort of this unforeseen thing, but it's a wish, because when it comes out of the clouds, it's something that you wished for. It's like when you wish upon a star, it gets sent to you. But I think that you were maybe constrained by time, and it was by physical time, by a clock, by a calendar. But this is divine timing, right? Divine union is divine timing. And so it's like when you just focus on yourself, you get into that magician. The magician speaks their truth because they are of Mercury. They are of the throat chakra, right? Which is also Taurus. And we've got the 9 of Pentacles here and the Empress. So you could be dealing with a Taurus. You could have a Taurus placement. But the magician is someone who steadfast does what they do because they have, they know how to wield all of the elements. This is an elementalist, all right, which is the life path 4. So you could be a life path 4 as well. But the magician is a truth seeker and a truth maker, right? They are the divine alchemist. So when you start doing this, you start living in your truth, you start creating in your space with what you have, right? Because there might be a doubt about, oh, I don't have enough. There's a lot of feminine here. I mean, it's ironic because I was getting a lot of paternal influence with the feminine portion of this reading. I'm gonna sneeze. I feel it coming. And then now I'm getting feminine cards with the masculine part of the reading. You know, they usually come in 3s. And with the cracked cup, I was getting, you know, you might be breaking things, jewelry, totems, right? Figurines or statues or clothing, whatever. You may be like tearing things, breaking things. Usually when you do that in 3s, it's Judgment Day is coming, right? The turn of events is coming. It's in preparation for a tower so that you're willing to let go of it. Now, we typically go, oh, my favorite cup broke, let me glue it back together. Or my favorite sweater ripped. And I'm not condoning that we throw everything away. Like, if you can mend it, mend it. But, you know, if you have, for instance, if you have mala beads, if you're like prayer beads or some sort of like spiritual totem that you carry with you and it breaks, that is the universe's way of saying this has served you long enough. It's done whatever it was supposed to do. If you have like a protective you know, tiger's eye or some sort of like stone that you carry and you drop it and it breaks, it's not a tragedy. You're right. It's like it's not a bad omen unless you give it that energy, right? So if there may be something that's going to happen in your physical world that you're like, oh, my favorite plant died or something like that. Not to put that on you guys. But it's actually an indicator that, you know, and it can be a person as well, right? You might, you know, lose somebody. You might lose 3 somebodies, right? But it's like with death comes rebirth, and this death that you're experiencing, I gotta blow my nose. With this death that you are experiencing, a divine rebirth is happening, okay? So whatever is forcing you into this place where you have to do it yourself, you have to reparent yourself, you have to protect yourself, you have to lead yourself, you have to create stability. That's this like boss energy, this I'm taking care of it all on my own, but relishing in that, right? It's not like, woe is me, I'm all by myself, Celine Dion. This is like, I have everything that I need and more. This is like, you know, being really tuned into your affirmations. I am abundant. I am love. I attract love. You know, I am statements, because I'm getting caught on the I am. So I feel like maybe that's also it's to confirm Mercury or the magician. So speaking some new truths into your environment, your environment and your environment, right? So you're shifting that's what the divine alchemist does. They transmute energy. And so you can do that by speaking I am statements and claiming affirmations of truth, of abundance, of love. And that is going to, and if you had a neglectful or abusive, narcissistic parent, I mean, there's gaslight, right? And that makes me think of the lantern as well, from the Yogi tea, right? It's the lantern. It's like you maybe relied on, not consciously even, but your ego, because it's what you knew, relied on the lies and the gaslighting that you received. Like that was your only source of light. That was your only source of truth for so long. But going into hermit mode and going down into this self-analysis, self-inventory, shadow work, doing that work, it's going to lead you to a place where you realize, oh, this is my actual light. And this is much brighter, much warmer. And, you know, with that cold breeze, I do feel like there's going to be people who don't like the fact that you are getting empowered. The fact that you are in this pre-Empress energy here as you're doing this work. When you're doing shadow work, right? And see, they're doing work and they've got the shadows there. This is that excavation. This is the one who goes deep down. And it's funny because I was looking for a little dish for one of my plants so I could water them. And I have this rabbit, or bunny, whatever you want to call it. And I brought it in, which is, for me, Cancerian energy. And so maybe you have a Cancer moon, maybe you're dealing with a Cancer, maybe your person's a Cancer, but Cancer is the moon aspects of the heart chakra. It's following the heart. And I almost brought a little gnome in too, but there was a lizard in there. And it poked its head out of the bottom. And so I was like, okay, I'll just leave you. So yeah, something with the gnome as well, the garden gnome. And garden gnomes can be like good luck, but they're almost like the leprechaun. Makes me think of like Warwick Davis. You know, the leprechaun, he's just out for, you know, he's just like a taker. I mean, he kills people. He's not a good guy in that one. Where was I going with the bunny? Oh, so the magician pulls the white rabbit out of the hat or whatever. It's like you are going down into your heart chakra and you're pulling out that feminine, nurturing energy, right? Of that Cancerian energy. You're pulling down into that vessel, and there's water in there, right? The water rabbit. Rabbits do swim. Maybe you're the year of the rabbit, right? So there could be some association with the rabbit, but it's like you're going deep down into yourself and you are pulling out the white rabbit. Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, you got to go down and you got to deal with the Red Queen. You know, you got to deal with the twins. It's like you got to deal with all the chaos and the madness. There could be a lot of madness in there. You know, if you were raised around those with mental disorders, you are made up of them. So genetically, to do that work, to heal for them, you have to deal with the stuff that they were unable to or unwilling to. And that's just the responsibility, the divine responsibility of being a cycle breaker. So you can dwell in this, I get like 5 of Cups energy here, you know, and I think the 5 of Cups was, I don't know, I got the 5 of Cups earlier. I don't know why. I think it was because of my cup. When I saw the fracture in the cup, it's like, you can be in that like crying over spilt milk and staying in that pity party, or you can just say, you know what, like they've given me some tools here, even if those tools are what not to do or how to, you know, that's how you do math and reasoning. Maybe you're into math, weirdo. No, but maybe you do something with math, or a teacher, or maybe you're going back to school to prove to dad I'm not a fool. More Virgo energy. Adam Sandler is Virgo. But that is, it's like, it's basic numbers. Like if you get out of the Five of Cups, it's like being in that being in the cups, but being in like the shadow attachment version of the lower vibration of the cups and of the heart chakra. It's getting into a logical place, right? The Magician, the mercurial energy, it's intellectual, it's analytical. So getting into a place that's more masculine driven, right? Like being the dad that you never had, right? And if this relates to the mom that you never had, moms choose the dads. They choose their partner, whether they admit to it or not. They choose their person with whom they're going to procreate and raise a child with. So if you have a daddy issue, you have a mommy issue. They're just linked to each other, right? And then all of that chaos is within us that we have to heal and we have to do that work on. And I see that you are doing the work. If you feel like, yeah, I was in that place, now I feel like I've been taking care of my body, I've been taking care of my mind, I've been nurturing myself. This is someone who does a lot of self-care, right? This is someone who takes long baths if they want to, right? They take naps, right? I could see you out like in a hammock in the garden, like just, this is somebody who is very nurturing. And if you had a mother who chose a low vibrational father for you, maybe there was an issue there. Like you never felt safe, you never felt nurtured, your feelings were never understood, your words were never heard. You know, if your father was a narcissist, the mother is likely a co-narcissist, meaning that they enable that type of behavior, right? You might have siblings that went that way, that ended up being narcissistic, or just like the parent that you have an issue with. Because that's how it is when there's multiple siblings. There's, you know, one usually ends up being just like them, one ends up breaking the cycle and being completely different, and then one is kind of like the middleman, right? Like the flying monkey. They're the one that relays messages. They're still very attached. They have the empathy and they want things to change. They're very hopeful, but they don't have the gumption. They don't have that power. They don't have that, I've got the fire. They don't have the fire to make a change. Right? And this is also like this could be a new start in passion, in love, in work, right? Ace of Wands. This could be a message. This is like a divine message. I feel like it's a divine calling. This is your divine calling, is to, you know, because we've been talking a lot about family dynamics, right? Parental dynamics. And so it's like maybe you're going to have a child with your divine counterpart. Maybe you're going to work with children. Leave it. Thank you. Maybe you're going to work with children. Maybe you're going to work with, you know, people from a broken home. You're going to hold some sort of space. That's what the divine union is there for. The Emperor and the Empress. They're the ultimate divine alchemists. They are both magicians. They are both cycle breakers. And they are both healers, light workers. They are individuals that hold space for the collective to heal from their trauma. You know, and if you had an alcoholic or an addicted, an addict parent, yeah, you might work with people who are in recovery, right? So we have the Empress here. So I feel like the feminine is very much in their Empress energy. At this point, Judgment Day, the Empress is, yeah, Ace of Cups. This is like, this is that they're nurturing their vessel. They're filling their own cup. They are, and there's that moon there, which is Cancer energy, more Cancer energy. Maybe you have a water moon sign. But this is somebody who really nurtures himself. Jesus. I'm trying to see what her tattoo is. Oh, it's a red moon. And there, yeah, Pisces with the seahorses there. That's Neptune. So maybe your Neptune placement, maybe you have a Pisces placement, maybe you're dealing with a Pisces. But this is more about you. So I feel like it's more like you have a Pisces placement. Because this is your vessel, right? When you nurture your vessel and you have a full cup, like look at the difference here. This is somebody who is very attached to the past. They're not seeing their power. They're not nurturing themselves. They are a victim of their circumstance. And they also look like a little child. So I do feel like this is being the victor. This is turning all of your victimhood into being the victor. And through that is going to be your divine calling, where you're going to be helping other people. So I do feel like, so where is the masculine? Well, we have the Page of Wands and the King of Wands. And a lot more. The Hanged Man and the Devil. Okay, maybe maybe you're dealing with a Pisces with the Hanged Man. But it could just be somebody that is with the devil behind them. Could be Capricorn, but it feels like somebody, the masculine has some fear here. I mean, there's nothing to fear about the Empress, but the Empress can be quite intimidating to those who are still struggling with fear or insecurity, because she's the divine boss. I was gonna say Aries, but the Emperor is, Aries energy is someone who is, Aries is the leader of the pack. They are the boss of the zodiac, and the Empress is the CEO, the co-manager, right? They are the ones who they aren't the rulers of the zodiac. They don't own the zodiac. They're not the boss like that. They are the boss like a divine mother and father. They are the ones who nurture and lead the collective towards the light within. You're going to be doing a lot of light work and a lot of healing work with whatever you do together. So we have the King of Wands and the Page of Wands. So there is, you know where you are. If you relate to this, oh my gosh. One of my dogs is looking like this out of the curtain. She's just being pitiful because she's like that. Libra. Maybe you're dealing with a Libra. Which is, the Empress is Libra and Taurus. So, yeah. Maybe you have a Libra parent or something. Or a Libra placement. But that does make me feel like the feminine is ready and waiting, and the masculine, where was I going? These dogs, they distract me. Oh, if you're in this place where you still feel like, yeah, but I hear what you're saying, but, and you're still like attached to these issues of the past, if you are just now going through the Tower moment, if you're just now leaving a relationship or preparing to leave a relationship because you know it's not divine, then you've got some time, right? You've got some physical calendar time to wait before you're ready for a divine union, right? Because you don't get out of something and get right into a divine union. That's not how it works. That's not trusting in divine timing. That's codependency, okay? So if you feel like, yeah, all of that did happen, I went through all of that, I was, living by myself and doing all this work and got into gardening and was taking care of myself, started getting healthy, maybe lost weight, right? Like you got healthy, you got fit of the mind, of the body, of the spirit, you're in this Empress mode, then you're ready and you're in a place where this is going to be happening soon. So you have to be in Empress mode. You have to be filling your own cup. You have to have been doing this for a while so that it's not just like, okay, I'll do it for a week or two and then call my divine counterpart in. That's not how it works, right? It has to be of your nature. It has to be something that you've done the work to get these shadows out, to be self-aware, to have done the self-inventory, I recommend a year, because that way you can go through all the seasons, all the months, all the zodiac, all the changes, all the major arcana of the tarot, and really do the work that is required to become the divine alchemist and know how to wield all the tools that are in your tool bag, in your chart, right? You need to go through your whole chart. You need to go through a whole solar cycle, and many moon cycles, because moon cycles are all about waxing and waning, shedding and releasing, and starting something new. I feel like my congestion is really irritating. So I'm sorry if I'm just sniffling away. It's probably very irritating. But if that's the place that you're in, you've done that for a while, you feel like, you know, you've been independent, you've been in this Empress mode, this Nine of Pentacles, this Ace of Cups. If you've been in this space, that's when the Page of Wands and the King of Wands are going to come in. All right. If you are the masculine, then I feel like this whole reading was about the feminine. And that's what they are going through. That's what they, and you may have found some, I mean, if you watch this long, then yeah, you probably have found some sort of, I had to blow my nose again. So you may have found some things that are very relatable, because you guys are divine counterparts. You created each other for each other. So you are very much linked and aligned on this path. So there may be some similarities in your path that help you to that gear your life path towards each other in the 3D. So there may be some similarities there, but I feel like that was more about the feminine journey. And because it's flipped and because it's sort of mirrored, like I said, that when I pulled out the feminine cards, it felt more like it was more about the masculine's journey. And then when I pulled out the masculine cards, it was all about the feminine and the Empress and the Nine of Pentacles. So this could be, you know, this could be same sex. This could be the female in the situation is actually the divine masculine, and the male is the divine feminine. Could be a switch like that, right? Maybe if you're dealing with a water sign, water is feminine. So you could be dealing with a male that is has a feminine placement, and vice versa. But there is definitely a mirroring. So I feel like your journeys are quite aligned and parallel to each other. And then this King of Wands, if you're not dealing with a fire sign, this could be you. This could be the masculine. And you know, the feminine attracts the masculine by getting their 5D frequency on the Empress level, right? They maintain this 5D frequency that attracts, it's like a, what is that, echolocation or sonar. It's like it pulls them in. And then the masculine sees the feminine in the 3D and goes, oh, that's my person. And then they do whatever they have to do. They do all the 3D work to create a stable, safe environment for the feminine to bring all that nurturing 5D energy into that space. So it's like they're crafting the vessel, the 3D vessel that holds that healing energy, right? And so the masculine could, how he's just kind of sitting over here, right? He's got these 3 little goblins around him. Could be, yeah, could be, so they can have kids, right? Could be dealing with a single parent. But I feel like that could be their Holy Trinity. Like they've done this work to heal their Holy Trinity. They're very self-sufficient. King of Wands is very much in their wands, their power. And they're going to be unfamiliar, right? The divine union is not familiar. Karmic cycles are familiar. So this person is going to kind of feel like they're coming out of nowhere. Like this Ace of Wands. Because it's something that you only dreamed of, but you've never seen any representation of it in the 3D that would make you think that it's even possible. This person's going to be the impossible. 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 What's that from? I don't know. It's a theater song, but I don't know what it's from. I can't think. So yeah, the King of Wands is maybe you're in acting or something. Maybe you're going to school for theater. Maybe that's like the Magician can also be someone who's like, maybe you're coming out of something that's very like a box, and you're sort of the white rabbit that's coming out of the hat, and you're like abracadabra, and you're doing something with all the wands here that can be about, and also in your season, Sagittarius season, that's about shooting your shot in business, in pleasure, in love, in work, right? And all of it, it's releasing the arrow at your target, right? The archer releases the arrow at the target that they've had their eye on. So it's something that you've been planning, it's something you've been plotting, and so maybe you're finally going to launch some sort of artistic new project, and maybe that is how. I don't know if that was a kid or a cat, but I just heard something outside my house. You're launching something that is actually going to be artistic and creative, and maybe that is going to be the thing. Maybe that's how they're going to recognize you. Maybe that's how the masculine will see the feminine, or these two will meet. Because with wands, that can be a lot about online. That can be about maybe something online is how you're going to meet this person, because we have the Page of Wands, Ace of Wands, and having that 10 of Wands energy before, it was about releasing the burdens of something that just working for others. So you could be like doing something that's an entrepreneur. This person could be an entrepreneur, and so maybe they were waiting, right? The feminine had to get on their frequency, but maybe the masculine was just waiting for the right time, because they wanted to make sure that they had the right vessel, that the vessel was strong enough for this connection and for this Hierophant. The Page of Swords. Could be dealing with a Taurus. Somebody is watching. I think that the masculine is watching the feminine. And we have the Empress and the Hierophant. So Taurus, and also the Magician is the throat chakra, which is ruled by Taurus. Or rules Taurus, however you want to say it. So yeah, there could be Taurus placement again, or dealing with a Taurus. But there's that 10 of Wands. Yeah, there's something had to come to an end. This ending, whatever it was, which felt very heavy, it felt like actual loss. It's an ending of giving your power, right? I've got the fire. It's giving your power to others. It's giving your power to something outside of yourself, when really your power, your light, is in the lantern. It's not the lantern that empowers you. It's the light within, right? So, I am going to look at that song, but maybe I've Got the Power is going to be the title of this reading. So this is the longest reading yet. I've been trying to keep them under an hour because they upload better. Anything over an hour and they take a little longer. So, but if you're watching this, it's already uploaded, so you don't have to worry about that. So yeah, that was heavy. The divine love is coming. It's coming in, but I do feel like there's maybe still some work going on. There's an ending. There's a launching. There's a breakthrough that still needs to happen in order for this union to come together in a holistic way and not in a forced way. Because if you force a twin flame union, it's unlikely to ever be divine. But all divine unions are twin flame journeys, right? So it's all about divine timing, waiting on the right time, and usually that happens when you least expect it. So I know that's not what we want to hear. We want to hear like a moment we can mark on our calendar, but that's not the way it works. So anyway, I hope there was something in here for you. Until next time, I wish you well.